Allow me to address the incident that happened earlier today, this morning, Tuesday, as crowds moved along designated routes towards a humanitarian aid distribution point in northern Gaza. Our soldiers identified several individuals who were deviating from the approved access route. Now, this occurred approximately half a kilometre from the aid distribution site. Now, our troops diligently issued warning shots, and as some of the suspects continued, despite these warning shots, advancing towards the troops in a threatening manner, further fire was directed near these specific individuals. Now, the IDF is very much aware of reports. The IDF is very much aware of reports of casualties and is reviewing the incident. The IDF is doing everything in its power to allow Gazans to get to the humanitarian aid. The IDF is not preventing the arrival of Gazans at humanitarian aid sites. Indeed, we are encouraging it. The warning shots were fired away from the aid distribution point in response to the threat perceived by the IDF troops. Israel is not preventing Gazans from accessing humanitarian aid, and the IDF did not fire at civilians in or near aid distribution zones.
Injured Palestinians were rushed to Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis on Sunday after a deadly Israeli attack near an aid distribution point run by a private US-backed group, local health authorities said. The Palestinian Red Crescent, affiliated with the International Red Cross, said its medical teams recovered bodies of over 20 Palestinians near an aid collection site in Rafah, while local health authorities said more bodies were delivered to Nasser Hospital. Arafat Siam lost his brother in the attack. He says he had gone to get food for his children when he was shot by Israelis. This is unfair, he said. What they are doing is unfair. Israel's military said it was looking into reports Palestinians had been shot at an aid site, but that it was unaware of injuries caused by military fire. The aid distribution sites are operated by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, or GHF. The group denied anyone was killed or injured near their site in Rafah and accused Hamas of making false reports. The GHF, whose funding source is unclear, is backed by the US and Israeli governments and bypasses traditional relief groups. Widely criticized, UN officials say its aid plans would only lead to the forced relocation of Palestinians and incite more violence. Sunday's incident happened as Israel and Hamas traded blame for the faltering of a new Arab and US mediation attempt. The aim was to secure a temporary ceasefire and the release of Israeli hostages held in Gaza by Hamas in exchange for Palestinians in Israeli jails. Hamas said on Saturday it was seeking amendments to the US-backed ceasefire proposal, but President Donald Trump's envoy rejected the group's response as totally unacceptable.
UN Chief Antonio Guterres said on Monday that he was appalled by reports of Palestinians killed and injured while seeking aid in Gaza. Here's UN spokesperson Stefan Dujarric.
The Secretary General condemns the reported killings and injuries of Palestinians who were seeking aid in Gaza yesterday. It is unacceptable that Palestinians are risking their lives for food. The Secretary General calls for an immediate and independent investigation into these events and for perpetrators to be held accountable.
On Sunday, Palestinian and international officials said at least 31 people had been killed, and dozens more were wounded near an aid distribution site operated by the US-based Gaza Humanitarian Foundation.
We've had a shooting at the GHF Aid Distribution Centre near Rafah.
British surgeon Victoria Rose said many of the injured were rushed to local hospitals, like the Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis.
These are all gunshot wounds, and as you can see behind me, we've got all the bays are full, and they're all gunshot gunshot wounds. It's absolute carnage here, and there are even more people in the main emergency department.
Local health authorities said on Monday that several more Palestinians had been killed or wounded by Israeli fire near the same site. The Israeli military said it was aware of reports of casualties, and the incident was being thoroughly looked into. On Monday, the military said in a statement that troops operating overnight in Rafah had fired warning shots to prevent several suspects approaching them, adding the incident took place less than a mile away from the aid distribution site. It denied firing at people gathering to collect aid on Sunday. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, a private group sponsored by the United States and endorsed by Israel, said there had been no fatalities or injuries at its distribution site or the surrounding area. It said Sunday's distribution was carried out without incident, describing reports of deaths as fabricated by Hamas. Reuters could not independently verify what took place. The reported deaths and injuries are the latest in a series of incidents, underscoring the volatile security situation that has complicated aid delivery to Gaza, following the easing last month of an almost 3-month Israeli blockade.